What's going on YouTube? So we're going to get stuck in today with an analysis of one of the most prolific YouTube weightlifters in the world, Clarence Kennedy from Ireland. Now, this man's been around for a very long time. I'm going to go as far as saying 12 to 15 years in the sport of Olympic weightlifting. You'll probably know him most from his old school training videos of him throwing absolute insane weights in dungeon of a church or something like that in absolute nowhere in Ireland. He was throwing around close to Olympic records, world records, and absolutely unreal lift. He got a lot of popularity, Clarence did, because absolutely no equipment when he used to lift. He used to wear a little Casio watch and glasses, looked a little bit like Harry Potter, but just had this freakish, unnatural strength that everyone was so surprised about. And to be honest, he caused so much suspicion in the world of Olympic weightlifting that people were like, is this guy natural? Is he not natural? And so much so that Clarence then later on in his lifting career actually came out and did a cracking YouTube video explaining about him being natty or not. And we won't go too much into that, but if you want to go watch that video, then feel free to go and check that out. But what we're going to actually look at here is Clarence's lifting technique. Now, in terms of his lifting technique, he is freakishly strong, like I said, compared to a lot of other weightlifters in his base level of strength. So when I talk about base level of strength, I'm talking about his squat, his deadlift, his bench, and anything kind of like raw powerlifting strength. Now, one thing that you'll notice getting into this analysis of Clarence, and this is his 220 clean and jerk, which at the time, I'm pretty sure was not far off, like I said, world record kind of weight. You'll notice as he initiates the movement, the weight, he goes from heels to toes as he sets up. Now, this would kind of be referred to as a dynamic start. Now, one of the things that Clarence does when he goes into this start position, because he pulls straight away as soon as he gets tension, is I think that he does this specifically so that he ensures the weight is in mid-foot when he initiates the movement and he doesn't get pulled forward into his toes. So I think this helps him stay through flat feet as he initiates the lift. One thing that you'll notice that Clarence does really well when he initiates this movement in particular is he doesn't lose shape at all in his body. He utilizes his big, strong legs incredibly well when he initiates the movement from the floor. You'll also notice that Clarence turns his toes out very slightly in his setup position when he initiates the movement. A lot of lifters will do this to help the knees clear out the way when they initiate the movement from the floor. The longer your shins are, the more relevant this is for you. One thing that you'll notice is as the bar comes past the knee here, he transitions into his second phase really well. He's loading his legs incredibly well in this phase. We've got a good knee bend here. His arms are relatively straight. His shoulders are a little bit back behind the bar, which may explain why in his extension phase, he doesn't get super tall in terms of extension. He rises very slightly up onto his toes, but because he's back behind the bar a little bit, I think this is why. You can kind of see the shoulders being thrown back a little bit here at the top position. But overall, what I want you to notice is height on the bar, incredible. One thing that I always remember about Clarence as well is his speed is absolutely ridiculous, and that is a great example of it here. So when the bar reaches maximum height, which is about here, and he extends, as he moves underneath the bar, you'll see how the bar's still traveling up as he's going down. This is brilliant because it allows him to get into his receiving position before that bar is actually on its way back down. And you'll actually notice here that the bar is actually still whipping up as he's moving down. It's only at this point is the bar starting to come back down again before he's received it. And you'll notice now in the time that that bar was weightless or moving up, he's got into his receiving position and he's finished on the exact same line here as he pulled it to. So efficiency level 1000 here for his lifting. One thing I want you to notice is the way that his feet moves. So Clarence is going to produce most vertical force or most power with his feet a little bit closer, which is why then they move out into the receiving position. Because if he was to squat with his feet this close, what would happen is his torso would drop and he'd find it difficult to get his bum between his heels in his catch position, which is why you'll see people moving the feet out during the lift. Closer to create more vertical force in the clean and wider in the catch so that the hips can sit between the ankles in the receiving position. Now, one thing that you'll notice that as Clarence catches this weight, there's a little bit of twisting going on, especially in the left-hand side. This could be from an injury that he's had. I know he's had a lot of trouble with his knees in the past, and potentially his back, but there's some twisting that goes on there in the catch position. We can't get over the fact that this is a huge weight that Clarence is lifting, so it could just be the fact there's a massive load on his shoulders. But yeah, it definitely hits him. He has to readjust a little bit and then drive out. But for Clarence, leg strength is never something that he's struggled with. So he gets away with the fact that he has to take that double bounce before going into the jerk. One thing that you'll notice that Clarence does really well is as he comes out the lift, what I want you to watch is he throws the bar up and resets his grip and creates a nice platform for the bar to rest on before he goes into the jerk. This is really important to get some new, fresh oxygen in and start breathing before going into the dip. As weights start to get heavier, and you won't really experience this unless you're above, say, 180 or 170 clean and jerk on a 20 kilo bar, and maybe around the 120 to 130 kilo mark on a 15 bar. But you'll notice how the bar is oscillating here. So there's a great deal of bar whip as he's going into his dip. It's really important that when you're starting to lift with these heavier loads that you time that. So you'll notice that as Clarence is dipping here, he's going down with the bar and the bar is taking its whip at the bottom of the dip. This allows him to actually utilize that bar whip to help him drive the bar up, because you'll notice here, again, watch the end of the bar. It's on its way up here still as he moves into his receiving position. Now, one thing I love about this in terms of the jerk, watch the height that Clarence gets the bar to on his drive in the jerk. Okay, so we're looking at it here and it's kind of just on this window line edge when he gets the bar in terms of its maximum height. And he resists the bar there as best as possible. So there's very little sinking that happens after he receives the bar, which is great. This is important for him, especially as he's split so wide here in order to be able to recover without too much struggle. He obviously recovers off his back leg, but like I said, it's a heavy load and he's split quite wide. But getting that maximum height and meeting the bar at its top position is important so that you don't sink too low, which makes it easier then to recover into his catch position. Absolutely incredible lift from Clarence. Well, we've got side view here. That kind of supports what I was saying about his shoulders when we were looking at it from the front angle, which is good to see. But then again, also you'll notice what I mentioned about his speed, bar breach and maximum height here. He's already caught it very close to that position there as he's going under. See what happens in the dip. As he dips, he loads the legs really well, keeps his torso upright, which is great. So torso position staying upright here throughout the dip, which is really good to see. That's essentially why he's able to use his legs so well in this drive before going into split. All in all, very hard to knock Clarence is lifting. He's lifted some absolutely obscene weights. He's been very clear and transparent about the things that he's done to help support his ability to be able to do that. And he'll continue to entertain thousands and thousands of people around the world with his crazy lifts. There's a lot to be learned from this guy. I know he's a wealth of knowledge from having spent time with him myself in terms of his understanding of training methodology, technique, and principles. And you can see how he sews his amazing technique in with his brute strength really well. So often people can be really strong and not know how to utilize it because they don't have the technique to be able to do so. Clarence is one of those examples. Brute strength, good technique, is able to utilize it, and that's exactly why you see some absolute obscene lifts from this bloke. So guys, I hope you enjoyed this analysis of one of the most popular weightlifters on YouTube. If you liked it, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, tag your favorite Clarence fanboys in this video, and I'll be happy to help and do any more technique analysis for you guys. If you just drop something in the comment, let me know who you want to review, or if you want me to do you personally. That sounds so bad. There's a link below this video for my online coaching at Lifting Zone.